Okay, welcome back to Sports Weekly MN. I'm Duff, and with me is my brother and co-host Joe. Joe, it's been quite a week, hasn't it?
I'm shocked it's only Wednesday. I feel like I've aged a year.
Yeah, do you want to tell all three of our listeners who probably already know what happened?
I don't really want to go into great detail, but there was a line of clinic in Buffalo was shot up. One nurse died. Three more were significantly hurt, and one more was treated and released. Suspect is in custody. Probably will be charged tomorrow. Sounds like possibly Friday. The clinic is basically 1,000 feet from Tatanka, where I teach. As the crow flies. Yeah, kids at recess heard shots. The ESPs at recess heard the shots or the explosion. We're not really sure if which one it really was. Just significant, just crazy lucky that they didn't come into our school. This gentleman didn't target the school because he targeted something that I could hit two golf shots to from our school. So our school was evacuated over to the high school. From the time the evacuation was announced until the time we were at the high school was probably 25 minutes.
That's incredible.
Incredible. Apparently, I found this out today. The bus drivers that showed up were mechanics for the bus company.
Okay.
And all the mechanics have their bus license specifically for this reason.
Wow. Somebody was thinking ahead, I guess. Yep. Of course, it's a tragedy, but that's great that
for first responders, basically for buses, if we got to evacuate and all of a sudden we had to evacuate.
Yep.
So there's a school right next to us for the 18 to 20-year-olds that's called Pride.
Okay.
That's for students with disabilities that are significant. So
yeah, sure.
Low functioning autism, significant physical disabilities, etc. And that school was also evacuated to the high school. Okay. We didn't even know that at the time, and they didn't even know they were getting evacuated.
Wow.
All of a sudden the bus showed up because there's no admin there. That's probably,
I see.
It's probably 15 kids, 2 teachers kind of thing.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
And I suppose those are like I don't know what the right word is now, but like a handicap bus with the lifts and the ramps and things. Is that the right idea?
I don't think so. For the most part, no.
Okay.
We do have some special vans that are have lifts in them.
Right.
Well, say it's really the bus company, but
yep.
Yeah. So we were over to the high school, which is, I don't know, maybe we were on the bus 7-8 minutes, escorted by the cops. But I shouldn't say the cops. I should say the sheriff department.
Sure.
Shut the roads down, sent all the buses through, didn't have to stop for stop signs and stop for red lights. Just get them over to the high school as quickly as possible.
Wow.
We went from a soft lockdown to being evacuated. And then, I think by the time we were at the high school from the soft lockdown, it was not even an hour.
Wow.
And originally what it has been was they put the middle school on a full lockdown. They were over at near the actual hospital, and that's where where originally they thought the shooting had occurred.
Okay.
Because there's a Buffalo hospital with a line of clinic attached and a Stellus clinic attached to it, and they assumed that it was at that hospital. And then there's a separate clinic in Buffalo that's close to Tatanka. Well, it was at that separate clinic that was shot up, but they originally didn't know that. So middle school went on an actual full lockdown, while all elementaries and high school went on a soft lockdown, which basically means lock your doors outside. Then it escalated to all students and staff stay in your rooms, lock your doors. And I had never been in a soft lockdown prior to this year. This is our second soft lockdown this year. We don't know what the first one was about. And then all of a sudden we're told to evacuate, and away we go. Can't say enough good things about the high school. They're phenomenal. They welcomed us. They opened up their PAC center, which is a PAC, which is basically a big gym.
Okay.
Activity center, 6 basketball courts. So with sport courts, not hardwood, but sport courts.
Yep.
So it's basically their practice training facility. Each grade level went to a court.
Wow.
Next thing we knew, there was projectors being rolled down. Movies were on. All of a sudden, Disney movies were playing all over. Snacks showed up. Then there was water. All this occurred. None of it from the elementary. Everything from the high school just took care of us. And it was a really low point in Buffalo and a really high point in Buffalo, all happening at the same time. It's a small community, 16,000 people.
Yeah, what I think the phrase is like tragedy brings out heroes or something like that. I forget what the phrase is, but it's just it's both sad and very I would say reassuring that someone planned for a scenario like this, and then the plan was followed. And that, from what it sounds like, that's
and there wasn't any students at the high school at this time.
Right. Yeah, of course.
They're still distance learning there. When I say there wasn't any, that's not truly accurate. I think there's some special ed students.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's pretty much that way.
Maybe 100 students at the high school instead of 1,000 or 1,200. So yeah, their principal was there, their admin who's going to be activity. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal on their part. The sheriff's department, phenomenal. We had 4 sheriffs, deputies outside as we were loading buses. They followed us over. They were outside as we unloaded. They were outside as parents came. They were outside as we loaded our buses to leave. They were still outside when we left. So the only bad thing is, and this was absolutely the right decision, but the only downside is now if we have a COVID case,
right,
don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the whole school goes out.
Right. Because everyone would have been exposed.
400 people in a gym.
Yep.
150 parents down the hallway.
Right.
So who knows?
I mean, you got to do it, and like you just sort of deal with the consequences later. And yep.
We know a friend that works at the clinic that took a stay-at-home job 10 days ago.
Wow.
Yep.
That's I guess good for good timing for that person. That's kind of like me when I quit my previous job, and 3 months later there's a worldwide pandemic in the location that I previously was. So oh boy.
Yep. Anyway, let's talk some sports stuff.
Yeah. So look, it's been, I think the big Minnesota news, I guess, for the past 10 days has been mostly the Twins. They went out and they improved the quality of their ball club. Now, well, they improved it from where it was 2 weeks ago. I would say they've put together a roster that's probably equivalent on paper to what they had last year.
Yeah, it's improved in different ways. It's a much
Yeah.
better defensive club
That's
than it
right.
was last year. Much better. And it was decent last year, but this is an extra. This is has the opportunity to be a very good defensive club for the Twins.
That's right.
One of
Barring
the best.
injuries,
Oh, of
you've got
course.
the best shortstop and the best center fielder, and those are the two premier positions. And you have the number one defensive players
Yep.
at those positions.
And you have a top 5 third baseman.
A great catcher.
You have a above average right fielder.
Yep. And
you probably
Polanco's
have
not great, or Polanco's not terrible at second base.
You probably have an average first baseman, an average second baseman, and if Keeler eventually is in left field, that's above average.
That's right. Yep.
So excellent defensive club. Maybe not quite as good hitting.
I think it's about the same.
Everyone's a year older, which is good for Kepler and younger players and not as good for the older players.
I think on balance, it's probably equivalent. You've got some declines and some, inclines. Some growth So
I mean, the Twins their starting rotation is not going to be compared to the Mets. It's not going to be compared to the Dodgers. It's not going to be compared to the Padres. But I'm thinking it's probably in that 10 to 13 range in all of Major League Baseball, which, going into the year, I'll take
a little bit above average.
Yeah, there's no reason that the Twins can't make a midseason trade here to improve it. And somebody will step up, somebody will get hurt. It's in 162 games, it always happens.
That's right. Yep.
Just hopefully it's not Maeda.
That's right. Or Barrios.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our Indians eaters.
Yeah, exactly. And then the bullpen, I would say, is probably equivalent to last year as well. I think the starting rotation is not quite as good last year. Like J Happ. Basically, J Happ is kind of taking where Odorizzi was, and I would say Odorizzi is a step above J Happ in terms of pitcher.
Nice to have that extra lefty, though.
That's true. But both are pretty similar. Both will give you a solid 5 innings on 110 pitches.
It's fine.
Whatever.
You got a Dobnak. I mean, he's got to be looking at the number 5 role here, right? With this defense and the way he makes ground balls happen.
Yeah. He might be a number 3 pitcher for this particular defensive staff. With this defense behind him, you could honestly see Rocco Baldelli juggling the rotation for when, or juggling even the defensive assignments for the day based on who's pitching.
100%. 100%. I agree.
So a lot of that happened last week, and we talked a little bit about that. Now this week, so since we last talked, I would say they added, I think they added one.
They added
person to the bullpen.
They added a couple guys on minor league deals with invitations to the spring training.
Right. I think.
And Ian
Hamilton.
Yeah.
Who we haven't discussed because he was one of the new. New players. Let me go back here.
But make no mistake, I think this is your favorite to win the AL Central. This team, the Twins, I think they're a better ball club than the White Sox. I think they're a better ball club than the Indians. They might not be as good at pitching as the Indians. They might not be quite good as hitting as the White Sox, but Target Field is a more fair ballpark than it is in Chicago. It's a more fair ballpark than it is in Cleveland. That's kind of a pitcher's ballpark. I don't think the Tigers are quite ready. I don't think the Royals are quite ready. I think both those teams are improved, and I like where their future is located. They're not ready to compete with the Twins, White Sox, or Indians yet.
They're not. They're not the Indians anymore.
That's right. Well, they're technically still the Indians. I
Oh,
think,
really?
right? Until they figure out a name. But whatever.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
The Cleveland Ball Club.
Cleveland. Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to take me a little bit.
The baseball club from Cleveland.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So I think I've brought it up here. It's Ian Hamilton, who
mhm.
they claimed off waivers, and then Sean Anderson.
Yeah, both these guys have out pitches. They can both bring the heat. Uh, so they always identify that guy that has that one pitch, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and let their pitching coach take over, and it's been a good formula. So
Yeah. So the formula, we can just briefly cover it, is they have usually a good slider that they throw
can
quite a bit, and
yep.
then usually the fastball, maybe the idea is the fastball might not be great, but it's tweakable, and they can, maybe emphasize locating it lower or higher in the zone, or throwing it in certain counts, whatever, to make it less hittable. And that's the formula, and it's worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's 3, 4, 5 examples now of the Twins pitching coach staff really significantly improving someone, from
Mm-hmm.
taking them from that sort of bottom of the barrel and bringing them up to a sort of a quality / average reliever, and getting the innings out of them that they need,
Yeah,
in
for like $1,000,000.
for less than $1 million. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a waiver, claim. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's what both of these moves are. Now I think one week we didn't even go through the names. They claimed like 8 people off
Yeah.
waivers. This was like a couple months ago. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, 1 or 2 of them will pan out and they'll do what Wes Johnson hopes, and you're going to see them in the bullpen. And
Mm-hmm.
so these are 2 more, I would say, that sort of fall in that category. Maybe they're a step above those other 6 or 8. But
Yeah, it's hard to have too many arms. So
that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know, there might be some sort of taxi squad here. I'm not really certain what they're gonna do, if
Yeah.
that's all for certain yet.
I think one or both of these guys still have minor league options yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they can keep them in St. Paul, and then if somebody goes down or gets worked too much, then they bring them back, swap them out, get a few innings, and go back to it. So I think basically the roster is set, unless there's like some true value for one of the remaining maybe starting pitchers out there, like James Paxton. I'm trying to think. There's a few
I
more.
think the highest guy chance coming back is Odorizzi, to be honest, and mostly that's just because of the Twins' history. And if he can't get his money,
Deal. Yeah.
is he going to go to a ball club, or is he going to come back to Twins and say, hey, at least I got a really good chance of winning in the regular season? Did that for you, Duff. And, I'm familiar. I have an apartment rented here, or own a house, whatever. So.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's like bad blood between the camps. I have no idea. All I know is I remember that last playoff game when Odorizzi kind of tromped out of the bullpen, and after the Twins lost the second game, because they only ever get 2 games because they lose them both, and he kind of sat on the pitcher's mound or something and like played with the dirt, right? It was just like, I don't know. To me, that sort of like sent a message, like
$18 million last year. For goodness sakes, how mad can you be?
Well, I don't know. Like, yeah, the money's great, but what's better is like winning a flipping playoff game, and like, put me in, coach. I'm a great pitcher. I will get you the outs and I won't give up the runs. But that's because Rocco Baldelli has an incentive to not win playoff games. That's what we think anyway. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's horribly, like, I don't know.
We're getting into mathematical territory that should not be occurring.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's true that if you flip enough coins, eventually you're going to get 10 in a row. You're going to get 100 in a row?
Nope.
No, not unless the coin is weighted.
Right.
So
should we?
I just remembered we talked about this before the show, but this is episode number 52 for us. I'm pretty sure, which means it's a year.
Congrats.
And a year ago, I think on our first episode, we talked about the Daytona 500. And so, woohoo, it's another year. And coming up, right? 4 days.
That's right. Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Which might get pushed to Monday, which gets pushed to Tuesday, but at least Trump won't be showing up in his airplane.
What?
Remember
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Trump showed up in his airplane last year.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Anyway, always the biggest, funnest, most craziest race of the year. Hopefully Ryan Newman survives this one with a little less incident than last year's crazy crash. One of the worst crashes I've ever seen live. And I thought he might have died.
Oh.
And he ended up in the hospital for a few days. So hopefully nothing like that happens. There's also, I think there's 2 duels, one tomorrow night. Maybe they're both tomorrow night.
It says here. Tomorrow.
Yeah, we already had the clash.
Tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, they're both tomorrow night. Okay. And then the Daytona 500 on Sunday. So
what is a duel?
Racing.
I have no idea what a duel is.
They always do qualifying based on the results of points for the season and based off the previous race's results. Well, there is no previous race. There is no previous points at Daytona. So this is how they qualify for the big race is they run these duels. So based
it's just
on
like 2 guys driving?
Nope. It's half the field and half the field. So based on how you do in the duel is how you do in the race, except you don't get the pole position from the duels. That's determined on qualifying times.
Okay.
So the guy who runs the fastest lap basically gets the pole position, which is number 1 position.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah. Which really doesn't matter in a 500 race, except you get points for it. And, some people get a little extra money for it.
Sure. Yeah.
Prestige thing. But in a 500 race, you're still going to get 10, 12 liters just based off how you run 500 miles.
Right. Got it. Huh. Okay. So that's coming up Sunday. People can tune in. I'm sure it's on one of the big networks. It didn't actually say.
Usually Fox, I think, usually has it.
Okay.
I'll tune in.
Yeah, I'll maybe try and turn it on here next week. Did you want to talk at all about the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Tom Brady's team won. The end.
Actually, I don't know that they won. I think the other team lost.
Yeah, Kansas City. Well, and they had that big controversy with Andy Reid's son. Got in a wreck, and it was his fault, essentially. And he seriously injured some kids.
Okay.
And it sounds like he could have been drinking. So that happened like 2 days before the Super Bowl.
Oh, boy.
And I think it really did affect things. At least it would affect Andy Reid's mindset, I would think,
right.
Mindset. I don't know. It's not really an excuse, but they didn't really show up. Kansas City had a hard time. Their offensive line looked really bad, looked pretty Vikings-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And
lots of special teams problems. It was almost like the Vikings were playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And this happens from time to time where it's a blowout, but Chiefs still a really good team. As you can see there, they lost 31-9, but still a really good team, and they're going to be great next year. And 16-3 finishing out the year, 15-5. I mean, those are really good records. So
no kidding.
I thought the play calls were definitely sided towards the Bucs, but a lot of the calls were legit.
Yeah.
there was every holding call I saw was legit. There was one call for the Bucks that should have been pass interference and
No call.
wasn't. There was one holding call for the Chiefs that they called on the Chiefs that wasn't holding, and it negated a turnover,
Yep.
which was huge. Don't think it would have.
It didn't change the outcome of the game.
I don't think it necessarily changed the outcome of the
It
game.
certainly
It was
didn't
a
help
big
things.
no, and it was a big momentum killer. There was a touchdown play based on pass interference in the end zone that really wasn't it was pass interference, but I don't think it should have been called because the ball was not catchable.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think they should call it. But it was, I mean, he definitely interfered with him, but when the ball is 8 feet over the guy's head, I don't think it's catchable.
That's right. It's not a catchable
Again,
ball. So
it was clear they wanted Tampa Bay to win, but it was clear that Kansas City
they also wanted Tampa Bay.
They
to
also
win.
wanted Tampa Bay to win. Yeah. So I can't blame it on the NFL on this one. It was definitely the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And
The Zebras
Bucks,
didn't
the
have
Bucks
to
played
help
well.
too much. So
Bucks played well. I mean, they came ready to play. Fournette was a beast. He said, "Here, try to tackle me," and they had a hard time. So.
Yep. We saw the moneymaker from Brady to Gronk a couple times. So the NFL got what it wanted there. It's TV highlight to show and sell jerseys and all that, so they can make their money.
Yep. So
that's what it's all about.
Typical Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to touch on the Timberwolves quick.
Oh, sure.
Not a whole lot of Timberwolves news other than D'Lo's got a sore leg, so he's out. But Karl Anthony Towns is back tonight.
Look, they won a game this week,
and they played the Clippers tonight. So it's a big deal to have Cat back. It's obviously a different team with Karl Anthony Towns, but I'd imagine he's not going to get a lot of run. I think he's still kind of recovering, and being out 2 weeks, you're not going to get a lot of run anyway. So
that's right.
Maybe 20 minutes. 25 minutes maybe.
And look, the Wolves, they did win on Friday, barely. And then as you can see here, they lost Saturday. Barely. Yeah, they barely. And then
had a marvelous fourth quarter against the Mavericks.
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't play well before that, but really did well in the fourth.
And so the Clippers are tonight. I don't know, maybe they've got a chance, probably not. And then coming up Friday is the Hornets. Sunday, Toronto Raptors. And then on Tuesday, and they're back the Lakers. So you just put in the
Hornets game might be kind of fun to see the first and second picks in the draft play against each other.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and for a draft that was supposed to be pretty bad, there's 4 or 5 decent players here that have been playing this year. So Edwards for the Wolves, LaMelo Ball.
Yep.
Was it LaMelo?
I think that's right.
Can't keep the balls straight, but it was a ball for the Hornets. Wiseman for the Golden State Warriors. He's having a good season. Halliburton is having a good season. So I think this draft might turn out better than a lot of people were thinking. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. So yeah, look, the Wolves, they're at the bottom of the barrel in the West, of course, 6 for 18. And if we can compare to the East, because remember, it's all about the draft picks here. They do have a little competition here with the Wizards and the Pistons. But I mean, these 3 teams are clearly the outliers. So hopefully that means they get a top draft pick.
They just have to hold on to a top 3 pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're in the top 3 here.
And it's like a 15-player draft. So
yeah.
It's a good draft.
So they're doing their job. They're staying at the bottom. They're tied with the Pistons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so sad.
That's where we want to be.
This is what we have to look forward to.
And they still only have a 40% chance of keeping it.
Oh.
So anyway, that's enough Timberwolves news because it's just depressing.
Yep. Look, I mean, it's fun to tune in to an occasional NBA game if you can get it. Because it's the NBA. You'll see some good dunks. You'll see some excitement.
Awesome
Unfortunately,
athletes.
yeah, exactly. You'll see amazing individual efforts, but what you won't see, at least from the Timberwolves side, is like a cohesive team
Right.
that's not making mistakes that your grade 6 students wouldn't make. So now I think the bigger, crazier news is let's go to the Wild schedule. And
Yep, they haven't played all week.
they haven't played. The last game was 8 days ago, and their next game, which may or may not even occur, is next Tuesday.
Not going to happen.
I don't know. There's much hope of that. No, I can't remember that last week. I think we did mention last week that there was the beginnings of a COVID outbreak.
I bet the Wild don't play again until the 26th of February.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean,
because there's a big gap in here
there's a huge outbreak.
Yep.
So Victor Rask was taken off the COVID list yesterday and put back on today. That's where we're at right now.
Oh, geez.
So it's the Wild. It's running right through the Wild. It's running rampant through the Wild. There's a staffer that has it too. And then there was basically, we gave it to the Avalanche, and I think we got it from the Kings is what it kind of sounds like.
I see. Yeah. So here's Rask that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. So basically there's 13 players on the list. And from what I'm reading, I think these players have it.
Okay.
Just, they don't come out and say it, but when you're removed from the list, that means basically your time was up and then you put back on. Well, these guys are all isolated now, right? They weren't exposed to anybody. So that tells me he tested positive.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, I think that's right.
And it seems like one or two players a day.
Yeah, well, that would be about right because it's been a little over a week and they're at 13, right? So
yeah, they tried to stop it. They sent all the players that were positive and the staffer on their own flight back.
They called it like a med flight or something. Yep.
Yeah. And then everyone else flew back to the team, but apparently there was 2 or 3 players already that were positive on that flight. So they didn't know it.
That's right. Yep. They tried their best, and their best.
And that's what concerns me about Tatanka. So
yeah.
But what is what it is.
Yeah. So the question is like, I mean, at this point, I think we're pretty certain that it's not just like a fluke. It's like the people here are testing positive. So,
and it's so hard in the NHL. They a couple of years ago, the Wild had a mumps outbreak.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
yeah.
Nobody has immunity to COVID. No one's been vaccinated in hockey.
Yep.
So of course they're going to be an outbreak if it happens. You're so close in hockey.
That's right.
Hitting on each other, spitting on each other. It's bound to happen. And this is very much league wide.
Yep.
And I'm surprised that it hasn't been a pause league wide. You have so many teams that are getting so behind now with games. Like, how is this isn't even, it's not equitable. You can't, one team keeps playing and the Wild are going to have 8 missed games. Right. Do you make them up? Do you not make them up? How do you do points? Like, I don't know what their plan is.
Yeah. I mean, so baseball, when that happened to baseball just said it's based on winning percentage. And so if you miss a game, well, that just redistributes that weight to the other games. But hockey, as you just alluded to, is not really based on winning percentage. It's based on points. And the only way you get points is by winning or tying or whatever.
And there's so many games in baseball compared to hockey. There's double
not last
the games.
Year. Not
right,
last year.
But still 60 games in that amount of time. There's no way hockey can do 60 games in that amount of time.
Yeah.
They could do 25 or 30.
Yep. So, I mean, like you could maybe go to winning percentage, where essentially draws are the same, or do they call them a draw, a tie? I don't know what
It's
they
a
call
tie.
them. A tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the same as not playing. Like you could like recalculate everything and say, okay, not playing is the same as a tie, and so we just go win-loss record, and that's it. But
I think if you
I
did
don't
something
know.
like that, like the playoff money would have to be like half distributed to teams that didn't even make the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, somebody's going to get screwed.
Yeah. But I think you also just alluded to the main reason why they keep playing,
Money.
because they don't get paid if the game doesn't happen.
But if they pause the season for 2 weeks, they could reschedule everything and still get the same number of games in.
Maybe. I probably. I don't know.
But the only thing, the counter argument to that is, well, what if we start back up and they could go again?
That's right.
You know?
Yep. This could just go on forever.
But at some point, this is insane.
Yeah. When you have half the team, like you can't field a competitive team.
No, and you can't practice.
That's right. Yep.
Even the announcers are quarantined.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because they were on the flight.
Oh,
or
right.
Maybe they were in the facility.
Okay.
Maybe they don't go on the. They maybe don't go on the away games.
Okay.
But they were certainly there against Colorado when they played at home. So
Wolves just tweeted out some nice highlight from Cat.
Yeah.
This was just a few minutes ago. So nice.
There was one. Yep.
Go ahead.
There was Beasley had a little bit of a clarification on his sentencing. He was served 120 days after the Timberwolves season is over, and that could be like a workhouse or work release or whatever. So he
he picks up trash or whatever. Yeah.
He's not necessarily just sitting in a jail cell. He's doing community service.
That's right. I think sentence to serve or whatever.
There you go.
So, but here's the thing about that. The judge said that he could play. He doesn't have to serve the sentence until the season is over. And so I thought, boy, this judge, he must not be a Timberwolves fan.
Yeah, he wants us to win.
Yeah. Like, no, you're making the team more competitive. Stop. If you were a real Wolves fan,
that's right.
Or she, I don't know, whatever. If the judge were a Wolves fan, would have said, nope, right now, like start it, and you're gonna have to miss some games. Sorry.
We want to procure that number one pick.
That's right.
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
You got trivia for me tonight, Duff?
Oh, no. Sorry, that's 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, no.
Ramsey's going to be so mad.
So upset at us.
Yeah.
You have to like come up with like 3 for next week.
Yeah, exactly. But
trivia night.
Well, okay, so this is kind of trivia. Can you name the people?
All your ex-girlfriends? No, I can't. I'm sorry.
I don't know that I have any. Can you name the new six new people who were inducted into the Minnesota Sports Hall of Fame? Because that's our last topic. So yeah, this is like a thing.
Looking at that's Natalie Darwitz.
Yep. Yeah. Good reading.
No, I just looked at her.
Oh, I see. And so here are the names. So some of these you recognize.
I have no idea who Ed Rogers is. Obviously, Natalie Darwitz. Tony Stone, I do not know who that is. Chris Dolman, obviously. McHale, obviously. Bob McDonald, I think he was a coach.
That's right. Yeah. 53 years in Chisholm. So, yeah, Ed Rogers, I guess, was for the Gophers.
So 117 years ago. 118 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. Here, look at this. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. Here he is.
Oh yeah, obviously I put that guy in. He's the man. Look at him.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that haircut. No, look, like an all-American Gophers,
The
And
guy just helped to create the little brown jug. He has to be in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, exactly. So do you want to talk about
No.
that? Okay. Anyway, yeah, so he's like by far the oldest like actually like historical figure at this point.
Yeah, like Natalie Darwitz is probably our age, maybe a touch older.
Yeah, I don't let's see here if it says no, it doesn't say.
I don't even know if she's 40. So
yeah, I bet she's in her late 30s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, another just standout Gophers.
Yeah.
Great that I think.
And how was Kevin McHale not in the Minnesota Hall of Fame before this?
So that's what I was going to bring up. That was my question on this. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't.
He was a Gopher great.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, NBA he won.
With the Celtics.
Well, yeah, but still.
But he did coach, and he was in the front office for the Timberwolves.
That's right. Yeah. So, wow, he was on 7 All-Star teams. Anyway, yeah. So of course, yeah, he's from Hibbing, and I would say easily the best basketball player that's come from Minnesota, just in terms of career in basketball. So, actually, Lindsay, our hometown person, also has won several NBA titles. I don't know if she's been on All-Star teams. Probably
WNBA. Yeah, she was
WNBA.
She was on WNBA. She was in All-Star games.
Yeah. And so yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's surprising. I would have thought he'd been in well before now.
Yeah, I didn't. They don't even discuss it here. That like, why isn't like, what's the oversight here? Like, why are we just getting around to him?
I don't know.
Yeah. So that's good. And so Chris Dolman, I think we probably all
Viking
know
great.
Chris Dolman. Yep. Yeah. Just a monster legend.
Yeah, just a defensive unreal.
Yeah, just amazing. And
look at those stats, 150 and a half sacks. What in the world?
Oh my, I didn't realize there was that many. Holy moly. Now the thing I knew Chris Dolman for was that he was good and that he played all the time. So yeah, it was fun to read that he only missed 2 games for basically his whole career, which was 15 seasons. That's incredible in the NFL. I mean, that's better than a lot of kickers.
It's an average of 10 sacks a year.
Yeah, really good. Really good for a really long time. Yeah, so Chris Dolman was in, and then there were 2 others that were sort of less known. One is called Tony Stone. So we can bring up the photo of him here. Yeah, not him. What am I saying? Her. So yeah. Oh, I see. In St. Paul.
Yep. Yeah, she played baseball.
That's right. Yeah. So that's why it's easy to get confused. Professional baseball player in the Negro League. Does it say what years here? 49.
49. Huh. I've never heard of this lady. This is awesome.
Yeah.
She replaced, she replaced Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Good for her. Yeah. How is she not in before now?
Yeah, who knows? So cool. Yeah, I guess yeah, interesting. So they have a Tony Stone Day. So that's another one that's sort of like a great story that I don't think a lot of people know about, but you could read up on Tony Stone. And finally is a longtime coach for Chisholm. We mentioned this, Bob McDonald. Oh, wow. Okay. Winningest basketball coach in Minnesota high school history. Over 1,000 victories. Nice. Another one that's like, oh yeah, it's a good pick. So those are the 6 new inductees for this year.
Awesome.
And I don't know how many years they've been doing this now, but
Probably a long time.
yeah. So I hadn't really heard about it much before. So anyway, it's nice that it's like a good mix of like historic sort of figures and then, you know, people that even youngish fans remember watching. So in some context.
Yeah, nice wide range.
Which is always great to see, as opposed to just a bunch of people with similar stories. So very good. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have another trivia.
That's right. That's okay.
Too busy. But you know what? Will goes back to school on Tuesday. And so
there
I will
go.
finally get like more than 30 seconds to think about something at a time.
Quarantine.
yeah, exactly. Oh man. Well, you know, and that's the other problem when he's homeschooling. He's using my computer. So I only have my phone during the day, which makes it very hard to work.
I bet.
Oh boy.
Now you go to work.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Joe, that's all I have.
Well, guys, yeah, just make sure you're safe out there. Life changes in a hurry. Yeah, quite the week. So remember to, be kind to one another, grow your own food, and John 3:16.